Welcome back to another episode of the Fighter and the Analyst. I am your host, GK The Fight Analyst, and this here is my man, the Joker himself, Peter Petties. What's up, bro? How's it going?
Life is good. Another day in the life. We got a decent card. I don't want to say good card. Decent. I'll add it up a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know
Some
about
fight.
decent either.
Yeah, I always like to say these small cards you can make some money on. The small cards are usually easier ones to make money on. So yeah, we are back for another week of fights.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Another week, another way to make some more money. But before we get right into it, let's thank our sponsors. Guys, head over to manscaped.com for the best in male grooming products to keep that junk feeling and smelling great. Use promo code TFTA20 for 20% off your order and free shipping. Also, head over to Our Life CBD for the best CBD products in the market. Use promo code TFA10 for 10% off your order. All right. So before we get into breaking this down, let's rewind it back to UFC 252. What were your thoughts on everything that went down in that pay-per-view?
I thought UFC 252 was an interesting fight card. It's hard to really. I mean, when we go from top to bottom, bottom wise, I know bets did okay. It for everybody that played Cheeto, congratulations. For everybody that was on the hype train of O'Malley, I am sorry. It's one of those things where I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. Like I want to really like O'Malley, but he's making it really hard to like him from a fighter standpoint to a better standpoint. Because like even his little interview on his podcast where he said like, man, Cheeto didn't do anything in 5 years. Look at where my career will be. Look where his career. I think that was just kind of like a shitty outlook. At the end of the day, I know I had a little flashback because I did the same thing in my contender fight. I sprained my ankle before the fight, but just to see his ankle roll each one, it was like, shit, that sucked. That's a horrible injury for anyone to experience. But even, seeing that Cheeto did it possibly on a leg kick, you have to give the props to where the props are due. And even then, he landed 2 elbows that put him out, and then he woke up. So, at some point, it's just a matter of give Cheeto, especially when you have the free fight hype, you're putting all this stuff on Instagram talking shit, and then you go out and lose by first round TKO. At least give him credit where credit's due, Outside of that, it kind of sucks to see DC go out like that. Especially when you see the eye poke that went so deep that went unnoticed by the ref and saying it was a punch. But, I think the trilogy lived up to the hype. DC man through it. It was a good fight in the end, and Stipe came out on top. I thought Stipe did look amazing throughout that. And, yeah, I thought we had a decent fight card from a viewer standpoint. I know from a pocket standpoint, not our best night. But from a viewership and, just overall entertainment, I thought the fight card lived up to the hype for sure.
Yeah, I agree as well. I thought it was a fantastic fight card. I know it's anticlimactic with the O'Malley fight. It would have been great to see how it really played out. I really don't think it would have played out any differently. I think Vera was really getting to him. Most of the strikes that O'Malley was throwing really didn't do much. It didn't really crack the chin of Vera. Just kept going forward. He's like, all right, you got hit. I can take what you got. He took one leg kick, and then he got tests done, and there was no structural damage. There was no damage at all done. So that's just pain tolerance. He couldn't take the pain tolerance from a leg kick. And then you're going to go off air, you're going to go on your little podcast and you talk that crap like you didn't just get leg kicked and you literally bailed out on a leg kick. So I don't know. I'm not about that. I was a big fan until he just went on that little, petty me tangent. Oh, I didn't really lose. Man, just give it a break. You got to chalk it up, take the L, or you're never going to progress. And I don't see he's going to progress after this L. I really don't. I think he's going to take a massive step back because he's not going to take the proper precautions to get better. He's just going to say, I'm still good enough. I could beat anybody and just stay stagnant. And they're keep chopping his legs down. Same thing is going to happen. But that's just how I see it. Unfortunately, I lost a big wager on him and Herbert Burns. Those were two of some part of the worst picks I've had in a very long time.
You live and you learn, man. You live and you learn. That's all you can say.
Oh, man. I was duped into the hype. Unfortunately, I was duped and took my money with it. But that doesn't mean we're not going to make money tonight with this 9 or 10 fight card, which is crazy. We just lost another fight. Mind you guys, we're the only podcast that's breaking down the fights without the OSP fight happening and all these other changes. So we're the only one with the most up-to-date breakdown for tonight's card. So with that said, let's jump right into it. All right. So we're going to start on the preliminary card in a catch weight of 140 pounds between Timur Valiev and Trevin Jones. Right now, Valiev's a minus 570 favorite, and the comeback of Trevin Jones is a plus 480 underdog. Who do you got?
I mean, it's really hard. I don't really know particularly either fighter. But with that said, I have to go with the Russian. You can't go wrong with picking Mother Russia. So I am going with Timur.
I'm with you as well. I think this is arguably the easiest fight in Valiev's probably career. I mean, if you look at it, he fought over in World Series of Fighting. He fought in the PFL. He was 2-0 in the PFL. He was going to go and make a run in the playoffs, but he got injured. He was arguably one of the favorites in the bantamweight division in the Professional Fighters League. He's fought tough competition. He's only lost in the last, I want to say, 4 or 5 years was Chris Gutierrez, which arguably he should have won that fight as well. So that would put him on a over 10-fight win streak coming into this fight. So, there's a ton of hype behind Valiev, and rightfully so. He's a prospect that should have been in the UFC years ago. Maybe he's on the edge of, being a prospect right now, but I think he's just far, far better than his counterpart, Trevin Jones. He pretty much beats him everywhere, whether it's grappling, striking, just everything. I just don't see where Jones has an edge, especially on short notice, where it took him a lot to even get to 140 pounds. So I'm taking Valiev here. I have him via decision, which you can get at minus 120. I also have the over 2.5 rounds at minus 190. So pretty heavy on this fight coming into the very first fight in this fight card. All right. So next up in the welterweight division, we have a fight between Carlton Minus and Matthew Semmelsberger. Right now, Minus is a minus 107 favorite, and the comeback on Semmelsberger is a minus 103. It's basically a straight up pick 'em. Who do you got?
Tough fight again. As we talked about, Semmelsberger is a local guy, someone I've seen live fight, been on the same cards with. With that said, I don't really know much about Minus, but as we know, you always get negative points if you fought in AFC, Alaska Fighting Regional Championship. You know what? And let me give like a little small story to give a little background on Alaska Fighting Championship. Me and Sadiq fought back in Victory, which was in Nebraska. The promoter or owner of AFC was there, came up to us and said, hey, if you guys are interested, come out to Alaska and fight. We'll build you up. You'll fight, we'll give you a bunch of cans. You'll fight. Like, literally, this is the promoter talking to us. So, when you have that and you see the fighters that come out on the Contender Series from AFC, it's really hard to lean towards any AFC fighters. So, I think for this fight, it's very hard to pick. Minus, I think, has a great record of 10-1. His only loss is to Rick Story. And he has a notable win of Justin Volkovs. But I'm going to go with the hometown team and go with Semmelsberger on this one, honestly. So, but it is a pick 'em. Whatever you want to go, and I don't think you can really go wrong with on this.
Yeah, definitely. It's not a fight that I want to put my money on, but if I had to choose, I'll probably go with Semmelsberger. He's far the bigger fighter here by a good margin, I would say. He's got some pretty heavy lethal punches, and Minus is taking this fight on short notice, only a week, and he just hasn't fought the best of opponents. I just don't know how he's gonna go out in a brawl, a 50-50 brawl in a short cage against arguably the hardest hitter that he's faced. Yeah, I'll take Semmelsberger, and he's just gonna out brawl Minus here. I don't know. There's not really a big lean either way. Neither one. I would take the under 2.5 rounds. I think is decent. I think it's at plus 150. Gives you some decent odds. I'm not saying to go crazy on it, but I think it has pretty good value considering that Semmelsberger majority of his wins are by knockout. So, all right. Next up in the light heavyweight division, we have a fight between Ike Villanueva and Jordan Wright. Right now, Wright is a minus 112 favorite in the comeback. Villanueva is a plus 102 underdog. Who do you got?
I'm gonna go with this one. Another one of those pick'em type of fights. I don't really know either one. I'm gonna lean towards Wright just because he's 10-0. But outside of that, I'm really not betting on this fight to be honest. But I'm leaning towards Wright on this one.
Wright came in 5 pounds under the 205-pound limit for this
Holy
fight.
Shit. Goddamn.
Yeah, he came in 5 pounds under. That's crazy. So I mean, he's a natural middleweight, obviously. He got finished by Anthony Hernandez on the Contender Series 2 fights ago. He really hasn't fought many good people before or after that Anthony Hernandez fight. So he really hasn't fought anybody good. Villanueva, his last fight, he came in, I think it was short notice, heavyweight fight against Chase Sherman. Yep. Got deaded in 2 rounds. But I think he looks better physically at 205. I think he's going to be a lot quicker at 205. I feel like he's definitely going to have the heavier hands at 205. So I would probably take Ike Villanueva, dog money. Even money's not bad. And we're probably not going to see him go the distance. So you could probably take him via KO prop. Mm-hmm. I mean, Wright's been finished before. It's not like he can't get finished again, especially when he's 5 pounds under the weight limit. So you know he's not going to balloon up much more than 200. Well, Villanueva is probably going to get up to at least 220 to 230, around that. I think he's going to have a massive power advantage in this fight. So, yep, I'm going Villanueva plus 102. All right, next up is a lightweight fight between Austin Hubbard and Joe Selecki. Right now, Hubbard's a minus 110 favor in the comeback on Selecki. He's a plus 100 underdog. What do you got?
I'm leaning towards Austin Hubbard on this one, and the reason for it, I was very impressed with this fight against Max Rosecroft. Granted, Rosecroft came in on a week's notice and then quit on the stool, but I was very impressed with the output that he put on him. Rosecroft coming in there as a very big hype prospect. I think Division I or Division II wrestler, All-American, Jiu-Jitsu black belt. If not black belt, just very highly touted under Drysdale. He had a lot of hype going in there, and Hubbard just beat the crap out of him for about 2 rounds until he quit, And I think from there you saw a good you see one of those little projections where you see the guy getting better, as well as he hasn't looked bad in his losses. He has some good losses. So, I'm leaning towards Hubbard. I think Selecki just kind of have good opponents up until this point. With Matt Weinman, a lot of guys. He got a good guy on the Contender. So yeah, I'm very big on Hubbard in this fight.
Yeah, I've been up in arms with this fight. I've been flip flopping, but I think I'm going to stay true and pick Austin Hubbard here. I just don't see how Selecki is just going to hold him down. You're talking about an Olympic wrestler, Mark Madsen was not able to hold him down. an ADC Abu Dhabi champion, and Davi Hamos was not able to hold him down and submit him. Max Roshkov, D1 All-American wrestler, was not able to hold him down. It's the same narrative. If you can't hold this guy down, he's gonna get up, he's gonna punch you in the face. Selecki's just a guy that's trying to take you down and keep you down and just ground and pound. He's not Matt Wyman. He's way better off his back. He's a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He hasn't been finished since his 5th professional fight. So I'm taking Hubbard here. He's probably going to win a hard-fought decision of just out-grappling and out-striking Selecki on the feet. I think you can get him by decision, a plus 190, I believe. Plus 190 via decision, because I think that's his best bet of winning, because I don't see Selecki retiring on the stool like you would see Max Roshkov. I don't think we're going to see that. So if Hubbard wins by a decision, which I think that's a likely outcome, plus 180. That is a very, very good line right there. Majority of his wins are via decision, guys. So if you're getting a guy that's now minus 110, where he opened at, I think, plus 130, plus 140, he's already a favorite, which he should have been to begin with. Now you can get him at plus 180 to win via decision, which is the most likely outcome here. I think that's great value. All right. So next up in the women's strawweight division, we have a fight between Amanda Lemos and Mizuki Inoue. Right now, Mizuki is a minus 125 favorite, and the comeback on Lemos is a plus 115 underdog. What do you got?
Don't particularly know either one, but I will be leaning towards Mizuki on this one just by strength of record and schedule on this one.
Yeah, this definitely a fight I want absolutely nothing to do with betting wise. I just couldn't get a great read whether Lemos is going to come out there and get a finish, which she's done in, I think, 6 or all 7 of her wins. Or Mizuki's going to come out there and just stay on the feet and outstrike Lemos. I just couldn't find the right answer, so I would go with over 2.5 rounds. I think that's your safe play there. I think it's like minus 220, but I can't have a play on either side here. I'm not going to try to steer you into a direction that I wouldn't bet myself. So next up in the men's welterweight division, we have a fight between Daniel Rodriguez and Dwight Grant. Right now, Rodriguez is a minus 185 favorite, and the comeback on Grant, a plus 170 underdog. Guys, this fight has changed. These two fighters were fighting different opponents. Grant was fighting a short notice replacement in Kalen Bourne. That fight fell through. And Daniel Rodriguez was getting ready for Takashi Sato before now agreeing to fight Grant. So I think this is going to be an absolute banger. Who do you got?
Man, I was looking forward to the Rodriguez-Sato fight.
Me too.
With the change of fight, I'm leaning heavily towards Daniel Rodriguez on this, just because I know he comes from a big striking school in the yard with now the name's slipping my head. Muay Thai guy Joe Schilling. As well as I was very impressed with his win over Tim Means. So yeah, I'm largely leaning towards Daniel Rodriguez on this fight, honestly.
Absolutely, me too. I'm very big on Daniel Rodriguez here. Fortunately, my local bookie doesn't have him yet, so I'm praying that he pops up because I'm heavily invested in him. He's just way better. He's shown that he can grapple and stay on the feet, and he throws insane volume. He's averaging over almost 17 strikes thrown per minute, and he's landing over 8 strikes per minute. You're talking about Grant is barely throwing 6 or 7 strikes a minute. He's a guy that likes to stay on the outside, keep his distance, and just try to counter with an overhand right. Well, he's never had to brawl yet in the UFC, and this is going to be a brawling fight. Daniel Rodriguez brings out the brawl in everybody in every fight. I mean, he outbrawled Tim Means. He outbrawled Gabriel Green. He threw 400 strikes in that fight in a small 25-footer octagon. I'm taking Daniel Rodriguez. all day here. All right. Next up in the women's strawweight division, we have a fight between Maria Agapova is how you say it, Maria Agapova and Shayna Dobson. Right now, Agapova, oh god, that's a hard one. Minus 1,375. Holy shit! And Dobson is a plus 975 favorite. I mean, underdog. Wow. What do you got?
I mean, it's tough. This I have personal ties to. You know, Dobson was out here at Team Lloyd Irvin before she moved to Denver for Team Elevation. I like her as a person, as a fighter. You know, there's a few things I think she has to change in her personal life to really be successful. With that said, I'm hoping maybe Shauna has found her timing at Elevation. I know her debut fight didn't go as particularly planned, where she got caught with an uppercut and sat down. You know, I know for myself, betting wise, I'm going to throw like a $20 bet on my girl Shauna in hopes that maybe everything's good and she grinds out a decision. And, you know, $20 on a plus 900, I think that still comes out to 100 something. So, you know, I think I'm going to play that. But I don't recommend anyone putting on, even on John Jones recently, anything in a negative 1,300. I do not recommend playing that at all, especially in MMA, just because you never know what happens. Even though I am big on the chick's name, I'm not even going to try and pronounce her name.
Wait, Shevchenko?
No. The girl who's fighting Shauna tonight. I'm big on her. Like, in my own personal bets, after her last fight, I'm like, it's funny, my personal self, I said, I'm going to lay the juice on whoever she fights next because she looked so good her last fight. And then I'm like, damn, she's fighting Shauna. That's such an asshole move. So, damn, I'm like, God damn, I'm not going to play that. But, you know, right now, I hope that Shauna's been training the way that she should be training and that she comes in correct. She has a hard right hand, I could say, for a girl. At the end of the day, I'm hoping she comes prepared. So I will say it doesn't hurt to lay $20 on Shauna because I know me personally, whenever I go to eat, I spend more than $20. So whenever you can have the possibility of flipping 20 to 100 plus, why not play it? So that is my play.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. You know, sometimes you have to gamble. Whether this is the time to gamble, I don't know. I don't think Shauna is the right gamble at plus 975 because I think that line is about correct, especially after what Agapova was able to do. You know, in her debut, she fought tooth and nail with Tracy Cortez on the Contender Series. She looked amazing in her time in Invicta, and she's just progressed as she came down here in American Top Team. She's on another level. She's training with Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who she ironically looks like and mimics as far as fighting style too. So I think she's gonna be a sure thing to eventually fight for the title as long as she doesn't get derailed. Because it's a very, very thin division, and I don't think anybody at the top is really, other than Valentina, I don't think anybody at the top is really something that can really derail her other than maybe a Jillian Robertson. But other than that, I think those at the top, I think she could beat everybody. She's long, lanky, and really good striking, and her jiu-jitsu is very underrated as well. I mean, I remember that one Invicta fight where the girl was literally running away from her. Instead of coming and knocking her out, she came and just snatched up a rear naked choke as she's running away. That was beautiful. So yeah, we're not going to lay the juice. I do like her to win via knockout or a decision. I don't see her getting subbed. I think Shauna has good jiu-jitsu because I know she comes from Lloyd Irvin, so I don't see her getting subbed. But maybe getting rocked and then some ground and pound on top of it is a possibility. But I really do like Agapova by decision at plus 400. That's pretty good. I think that's a decent gamble. Plus 400. for a girl fight that could 50-50 go to a decision. I don't know, but I think Maria wins this fight, and we'll just keep moving forward. So next up in the light heavyweight division, we have a fight between Marcin Prachnio and Mike Rodriguez. Mike Rodriguez is a -230 favorite, and the comeback on Prachnio is a +190 underdog. Who do you got?
Oh man, I think this is a tough fight because I do think that the line is a little off. I don't know if Mike Rodriguez should really be a +200 favorite. I think it more so should be even. I mean, not a +200, but yeah, negative 200 favorite. So, on this, I'm going to lead with Prochino just because of the odds favor. I've really never really seen him fight, but I can say for Mike Rodriguez and his particular fights, haven't really been particularly impressed in any of them. I do think Prochino presents a tougher challenge than the odds are really giving him. Outside of that, yeah, that's where I'm leaning on that one.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can wager on either one of these two. Neither one of these guys I do think should be in the UFC, but during COVID, they gotta do what they gotta do. Rodriguez had looked flat in the last two fights. Against Jung, I think it was. He got knocked out unconscious, and then the fight before that, he made John Allen look really good. And he's got about a 1.5 rounds of gas tank, especially if you have to wrestle him. If you wrestle him, you win all day. On the outside, that's where he has his advantage. Prochnio, on the other hand, 0-2 in the UFC, got finished in both fights, both in the first round. Second round for Alvey, first round against Ankalaev. He got deaded by both of them. I'm definitely not a guy I want to put my money on either. He hasn't fought in 2 years, coming off 2 brutal knockouts. So maybe this line is going to look like it's supposed to. But then if it gets out of the first round, then it's going to look like there's a lot of value on Prochnio. So don't bet in this fight. Bet that this fight doesn't go the distance because I can see that. I wonder what that is because this fight is definitely not going the distance. Let's see if they give it to me. Oh, no. Fight doesn't go the distance. Yeah, -335. Not great, but, that's likely the case. But, yeah. All right. So, next up in our main event of the evening, we have a fight between Frankie Edgar and Pedro Munoz at 135 pounds. Right now, Munoz is a -275 favorite, and the comeback on Frankie Edgar is a +250 underdog. Who do you got?
Man, it's hard to bet against the answer, Frankie Edgar. Especially when you're getting good odds, a nice little payout. So I'm big on Frankie Edgar on this fight. Don't get me wrong, this is not any knock on Munoz. What I'm saying is when it comes to money, you got Frankie Edgar at a +250 and he's not fighting Jose Aldo, or you know what I mean? It's like at the end of the day, it's hard to say no to Frankie in that regards. Especially, I think this is this his bantamweight debut too?
Bantamweight debut at 38 years old after getting deaded in his last fight.
And round. Yeah, and I completely understand that. It's just very hard. You have Frankie who's been around for years, has fought the toughest competition from Max Holloway to the Korean Zombie to Brian Ortega, Jose Aldo. And if you say those names, I do feel like you have Pedro Munoz, who's kind of like a drop off from there. Out of all those names, Pedro Munoz ranks last out of all those. So I don't think it's a bad gamble to really put anything small on Edgar. I want to see him fight. I want to see him win. I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm advising you guys this is a personal bet. I'm not saying to follow me, but that is my play. So
I got you. I'm pretty heavily invested in Pedro Munoz in this fight. I don't see the avenue for Frankie to win. I mean, he's got a stick-in move for 25 minutes. I don't remember the last time. I mean, he did that against Max Holloway, but that was at 145. So now he's got a stick-in move for 25 minutes at 135. He looks in good shape, don't get me wrong, but we don't know how his chin's going to take even more power and down 10 more pounds. It's just a lot of red flags when looking into Edgar. Munoz, he had a hard-fought fight against Aljo, went the entirety of the 15 minutes, defended all 7 takedowns. He threw an absurd amount of strikes as well. He was pushing forward. He was the aggressor. He was making Aljo fight with his back against the cage. And if he does that against Frankie Edgar, I don't know if Edgar is going to be able to just move laterally for 25 minutes and not get caught. Pedro throws more volume. He's going to be the one that's going to be landing more. Munoz has good takedown defense. He's got that slick guillotine if he does leave his neck out there. I know Frankie's too experienced for that, but who knows at this point of his career, we never know what's going to happen. But, there's a first time for everything. Frankie Edgar has never been finished via knockout. In comes Brian Ortega, knocks him out. This could be the first time that Frankie Edgar gets submitted via a guillotine choke from Pedro Munoz. It could happen. I'm laying my eggs in Munoz. I think he's the far fresher fighter. He's top 5 for a reason. He gave, Aljamain Sterling a hell of a fight. And I'm just going to ride the hot hand with Munoz. I still think he's one of the best bantamweight fighters out there. And, if Edgar was fighting someone lower ranked at 135, I probably would take him. Maybe a Jimmy Rivera, a Cody Stamen, or, someone like that. I would take Frankie Edgar all day. But going against Munoz in a dogfight, because Munoz loves dogfights, it's hard for me not to pick him. So, yep, that's our breakdown for this weekend's fight cards. But before we go, what's your best bet for this fight card?
All right. So best bets, I think we have. I'm going to give you guys a parlay that I think should cash us pretty good. We're going to go with our Russian pick of Tumor. We're going to add in Austin Hubbard, a little bit of Daniel Rodriguez action, and then finish off with, if you're trying to gamble a little bit, I don't think Edgar's a bad choice, or Pacino to finish off that. But if you're feeling a little, you want to hold off a little bit, just stop at Hubbard on that parlay. So, yeah.
That is 246. That's not bad.
Yeah, that is what I'm going to play those 3 separate, I think. So, one stopping at Hubbard, one stopping at Pacino, and one stopping at Edgar. Because if Pacino or Edgar comes through, I'm pretty sure that's a pretty decent night. And even
if you want Edgar is plus 1,110.
There we go.
Okay, and then Prochnio is plus 903.
There we go. And just to give some background, I did play a $25 bet on Cheeto and Pineda on last card. I think that was cashed me like $400 or so, something like that. So yeah.
Sometimes it's worth the gamble. Sometimes it's worth the small little gambles because you can make big money because some of these lines are a little wonky. I'm telling you, it's MMA. Anything can happen. That's why we love this sport. It's the most volatile sport to bet on, but it's the most rewarding and exciting sport to bet on. You're not watching your bet play out for 60 minutes. You're not waiting to play out for 3 hours. No, you get your money in and out in 15 minutes. 15 minutes or less. Hell, maybe 3 seconds you can win. You never know. You never know. All right, so before we head out, man, where can everyone find you on social media?
All right, catch me on Instagram or Twitter at WhySoSeriousMMA. Facebook, I'm kind of holding off because I'm getting a weird amount of Facebook requests that I don't really have mutual friends with. I don't know if there's bots out there, but Yeah, catch me on Instagram or Twitter.
All right, guys. You know where to find me at Fight Analyst on Twitter, The Fight Analyst on Instagram and Facebook. Guys, head over to thefightanalyst.com and get our fight packages. We're going to make a ton of money tonight. Also, guys, like and subscribe to our YouTube page. You know, we need to get the word out. You know, like, subscribe. And then we'll be giving away some picks next week, guys. We'll be giving away picks next week if you guys just subscribe. So you hit that like button, you subscribe, you get free picks next week. That's what we're doing. We're going to be doing that every single week. So with that said, we will see you guys cashing out at the ticket window. Until next time, you guys have a great